What's up, everybody? This is Justin Flinner coming to you live from Northern Virginia with the Justin Flinner Podcast by My Mentor Medicine. In this week's podcast, I want to talk to you about surviving the ups and downs of life. We all go through them. There are some days where we feel like they're going so well. We're moving up. We're feeling great. We're feeling good. We're on a high. And then there are days where we just feel down. We blame it on the weather. We blame it on other situations. We blame it on people. We blame it on the fact that maybe we don't have enough of something. It could be money. It could be time. It could be some other resource. We're constantly moving up and down. When the ups and downs move so far away from what we might consider to be balance in our life, that's when they can become pathogenic. And I say that because I do mean it in the sense of it really drawing you off course. Imagine yourself catching the flu. Your life is going well, you're going to work or doing whatever it is that you do, you're studying, and you had all the energy in the world, doing your exercise, eating well, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you just feel like crap. You caught something. That's what we say. We caught something. I caught the flu. And what does that do? Well, that pathogen has entered your body and now has put you on the road for the worst. Start to get the bellyache, some other nasty things happen, you don't feel well, you have a fever, sweating, you got to stay in bed for days until you recover. Well, that amount of time or that amount of energy that was lost is basically pulling you away from the baseline or that place of balance. So the farther you get away from that line, that baseline, it draws you farther and farther away from who you are meant to be. Because that baseline is smooth, but it's a baseline for you to measure yourself against. It doesn't mean that baseline is who you are. We are supposed to have ups and downs in our lives. We are supposed to feel absolutely magnificent some days and just like crap the other days. As long as those ups and downs don't become so extreme that they start taking over who we are or they become the norm. When you feel so high one day and then the next day you just crash and you feel so depressed. One little thing triggered you and then all of a sudden you're so depressed. It requires a lot of energy to move up a mountain than it does to move down. Because you can crash quick, and that's exactly the best word to describe it. You crash. You fall, and you fall hard. And when you get up, it requires an immense amount of energy, an immense amount of effort. So how do we survive these ups and these downs in our life? One thing that we can do is to simply reflect back on a situation where it has happened or where it keeps happening and try to understand what are the triggers, what are the commonalities in the ups and the downs. How do you get so high? How do you fall so low? What pulls us in those directions? What thoughts do we have regularly? Who do we find ourselves conversing with or arguing with? What are the things that we decide that we're not going to do with our body when we move to the low points or even the high points? What are the changes that we make? And I can guarantee you that there are probably some consistencies in looking back at those patterns, because that's what they are. They're patterns. We have patterns of reactions, of responses, of expectations. We have patterns that we basically use to determine how we're going to live our lives. So how do you survive the ups and the downs? First, look back. Think about a time when you actually had a super high up or a super low down, where you just felt so depressed that you felt like it was going to last forever. What did you do, or what did somebody else do to get you out of there, to help lift you up? Or if you were in a super high mode, what did somebody do to bring you back down? Because you can only be up in the state of joy for so long. In Oriental medicine, we equate the emotion of joy as something that will actually slow down the energy of your body, slow down the qi. It's like throwing a ball super high in the air. Eventually, at the peak, what does it do? It slows down, and then it will stop until it changes direction. Gravity pulls it back down. It's inevitable. Our emotions work exactly the same way. If your baseline is not at that high level of super happiness, then you are going to crash. You are going to come back down. You may stop at the baseline, but if you are not able to control it as it moves past that baseline, you will fall farther below it until your baseline is adjusted. Remember, I said the baseline is not you. It is simply a method of measuring where you are, either emotionally, physically, spiritually, however you want to examine yourself. So the baseline can be moved. What direction do you want to move it in? Well, maybe you should move it in the direction of where you spend your least amount of time, which hopefully is in an upward direction. We can always feel a little bit happier each day, a little bit more satisfied, more positive, moving it in a positive direction. So how do you survive the ups and the downs? Again, first reflect back. Another thing that we can do is to examine where we are right now. Think about what you've done in your life, where you are, what you are doing, who you are with, and ask yourself one question. Are you satisfied? All of the people that you know, all of the things that you're doing, all of the areas in your life where you're spending your time, do they satisfy you? Is it enough for who you are and where you want to be? Or are you moving in an upward direction, and are you bringing that baseline with you? Because if you're moving in an upwards direction, you better be raising your expectations, because that is exactly what happens. To avoid it becoming a pathogen or pathogen-like I mentioned earlier, the flu, it must become your norm. Your norm is constantly changing with each day that you grow upward, more positive. So keep yourself in that positive mood, that positive mode, so that the ups and the downs don't repeat themselves. Living a repetitive life of going from super high to super low means that you have not committed to adjusting your baseline. Now, why might we not move our baseline? Why might we make the decision to stay exactly where we are? I believe partially because it's fear. We're afraid to move. We're afraid to change. We are afraid to say that I am worthy of living a more positive life. I am worthy of being a better person tomorrow, not just today. I can do better each day coming forward. So commit to raising your baseline, raising your expectations, enhancing your norm, living a life that's a step higher, a step farther forward each day, rather than staying in the same place. That, I believe, is how we survive the ups and the downs of our life. Personally, right now, my mood, if I could put a word on it right now, is a bit meh. You probably have seen that emoji, the meh emoji. And that is because I'm putting my focus on my why. The meh is directed out towards the other things, not because I think they're unimportant, such as social media, if you've been following me on social media recently, there's a reason why I haven't been posting, and that is because I have drawn inward, not because I'm afraid or because I don't want to be exposing myself to the world right now. No, because I believe this is a time for me to reflect inward and really come back to the roots of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think that's something that we should all do from time to time, especially when we feel as though the ups and downs are ultimately controlling our life to a certain extent. We're not quite sure how to move the baseline. We've been moving it off and on over time, and then you realize that, oh, the changes that I've been making are fantastic, but I'm just doing changes. There's something else that's missing. So we should all stop, take a rest, and reflect within ourselves about why it is that we're doing what we're doing, and be thankful for that. Be grateful so that we don't lose sight. We don't veer away from the vision that we have for ourselves. So the vision and the mission that I am on, the vision that I have and the mission that I'm on, are all based in who I am as an individual, which comes back to the baseline that I hold myself against, that I measure myself against, so that the ups and the downs of my life don't end up controlling who I am or what I do. So let me finish by saying that for those of you out there who are going through a tough time right now, maybe it's personal, maybe it's family related, maybe it's work related, maybe it's school related, whatever challenge you have that is in your life right now, if you need to reflect, then reflect. Reflect on why you are doing what you're doing. If you need to look in the past and try to analyze what it is that draws you in the ups and the down directions, then do that. Try to figure out what are the patterns, what are the things that you do, who are the people that you go to when you are in those stages of your life, what are the choices that you make, what are the choices that you don't make, and then figure out where you are. Are you satisfied with everything that you have? Is the challenge what you need right now? Is it an obstacle? Is it a burden? Is it an opportunity? How do you view it? Could you be viewing it differently? And why aren't you? If you've been listening to the other podcasts that I've been working on with my colleague Jose Johnson, we did one not long ago on what is your why. And I've also talked about it plenty of times here on my own podcast. But the why that you have in your life. By the way, that podcast that we're doing, which is called the Kung Fu Equation, helps you to understand what it is you're doing in your life and why. Like your solutions. And that's our phrase on our podcast, your solution to living a kick-butt life. What is your why? That was the name of one of our episodes, and it really focused on where you draw your energy from and what gets you out of bed every day. If you find yourself moving in the direction of ups and downs all the time and your baseline is not moving, you need to re-examine your why. Because obviously you are not satisfied and you're not fulfilling whatever it is that you are meant to be doing in your life yet. Doesn't mean you can't, it just means you aren't doing it yet. So you need to commit to this way of living, this way of understanding how to move in a positive direction each day, each step. And then you can start to create the path ahead of you, because then you are in control. That is one of my main goals in doing what I do for all of you, is helping you to understand that you are in control. You are in control of your life. You are in control of how to care for the body that you have been gifted with, the mind that makes the decisions, and the spirit that helps you to connect with the world around you, the people around you. You are in control. The ups and the downs are not. You will find that once you understand what drives you in an upward or a downward direction is based in your level of control of yourself. Surviving the ups and downs, we all can do that. There is not one person in the world today that does not have the ability to move their baseline to say that I want to live a positive life. There is not one person out there who does not have the ability to do that, who does not have the ability to control their life. You have it, I have it, we all have it. Can you survive the ups and the downs? You're damn right you can. I believe you can. I hope that you believe you can too. That's it for this week's podcast. I thank you so much for listening to the Justin Flinner podcast by My Mentor Medicine, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great day, everyone. No matter if it's an up or if it's a down, remember, you are in control. Take care, everyone. This podcast is brought to you by My Mentor Medicine, an organization that is dedicated to helping people improve their lives by learning to empower themselves and take control of their own life. Any form of reproduction or distribution of this podcast is strictly prohibited. Should you have any questions on using this podcast or information that is contained within this podcast, please write to info@mymentormedicine.com.